This device isn't a spaceship. It's a time machine. Goes backwards, forwards. It takes us to a place where we ache to go again. It's not called the wheel. It's called the carousel.
It was the best time of our lives.
Yo, what is up? Welcome to another Carousel episode. Here with my buddy and person who I follow on Twitter, Lee Grader. Welcome again. Back to the show.
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, I don't know. The reason I don't ask a lot of people to come on the show, I don't do the show as much as I would like. But you are one person whose tweets. Sorry, I'm just tweeting this link right now. You're one sort of person whose tweets I find myself always sort of like roughly in agreement with, and you seem like one of the few people around who's not astroturfed. I mean, I don't know, maybe you are, but it seems like there's these sides and then it's like everybody is kind of on one of the two sides and you're just supposed to show your side. And, I'm just like, where is the independent thinking happening, and you seem like one person that is actually doing independent thinking for yourself. So, what's going on the timeline these days? How are you feeling about it?
Well, it's high praise. I mean, I'm very poor. I'm not astroturfed by anyone. So if anyone out there wants to buy my opinion, that's fine. But currently, I have no takers. It's been interesting this late into the Trump admin. Like these, you have the plan trusters, the panicans, all that kind of thing. It's been basically annoying to be on Twitter for, I guess, the last 3-4 months, right? That's about how long this has really been in full swing. It's just kind of frustrating to watch things devolve in terms of the quality of discourse and the website and things like that. So I'm not, I don't know, not doing anything different from, I guess, what I've historically done, but there has been kind of an obvious fracture amongst like the online right and things like that, which is not great. I think a lot of people kind of are off base on certain things in both directions. But yeah, it's been frustrating. So I don't know. I don't think of myself as like an independent thinker, I guess. Just that.
Wait, you don't think of yourself as what? You just cut off.
Like like an independent thinker.
You're not.
So much as just like a, I don't know, for lack of a better term, just like a normal guy who wants things to go well. I feel like there's like this forced kind of dissident behavior where no matter what, like nothing's ever good enough or nothing can ever be like a work in progress or no one can acknowledge small victories or things like that. It's like all or nothing all the time. And so when you have people that are kind of fueled by that, or that's their sentiment on things, it's frustrating to like engage in good faith with those people, because it's like there's no other aspect in life where like that attitude yields any positive results, right? Like the idea of like, oh yeah, so what if this is just like a minor win, or we're taking steps in the right direction or something like that. you have to stack these things, and in order to win in the long run. And so a lot of the criticism of the administration is like there are things to criticize, but some of it, like the dooming and blackpilling about everything, a lot of that I think is unfounded. And then the inevitable thing where it's like, oh, if you're criticizing it, like you're pruning out or something, that's
Right.
probably not the best attitude to adopt in terms of like a political coalition or anything of that nature, So it's kind of self-defeating in a lot of ways, which has been frustrating to watch.
Yeah. So this word pruning out, what does this word pruning out mean?
Yeah, so obviously this is the it's kind of tongue-in-cheek criticism of any criticism of like Donald Trump or the administration. If you say, hey, maybe this isn't great, it's like, okay, you're pruning out, which is funny because there are people that are really overboard or just detached from reality.
The Pedro people, right? Pedro, what's his name?
Yeah,
that's definitely like pruning out.
For sure. And like before, like just before we went live, like a good example of this is like Alex Jones, like retweeted or quote tweeted like video game footage of of like a stealth bomber flying over an aircraft carrier, and it's very obviously from a video game, and he's like, I can't believe, whatever, like why it's the post is like a B-2 stealth bomber is like flying over to improve troop morale, and he's like, oh, why do we need to improve morale? I thought we already won this war, and it's like, bro, you're a boomer, and this is obviously a video game, like, so like the thing that you're like, the object of this is not even real. This isn't even happening. Like, so he's pruning out, like he's detached from reality. That's why it's like that's why it's a good criticism, because he's presenting, like, you're making a case for something that is not real, in the same way that like a man cannot become a woman. A video game clip of a stealth bomber flying by, it does not, that doesn't give you grounds for like a cogent political argument about anything. It's not real. Like you are expecting me and everyone who reads this tweet to like adopt your framework of a reality that does not exist. Like, and so that's why pruning out is a very effective like term.
Pruning out is the best neologism. A neologism is one of these new words, like crashing out, that everybody suddenly started saying. Sure. Or, the woke right. There's lots of attempts at neologisms, or, diner goth. It's like these new words. One of the things that in meme world is so strong is the coining of neologisms, and we always love these. Longhouse, these new words. We're in the age of making up words, and pruning out. I feel like the sort of plan truster side. So just so people listening know what we're talking about, the plan truster side is the side of the pro-Trump people right now, and the black pillar side, or I talked to Oren about this last time. He was calling it he had a better word for the other side, the anti-plan truster side. I can't remember what it was, but the pro-Trump, pro-Israel side, they try to do neologisms all the time. Like they tried to do woke right. Remember that? And that sucked. That was terrible. Woke right was fucking horrible.
Yeah, that was stupid.
And they're trying to do the retard right now, which is also equally stupid, because retard's like becoming a good thing. But I will say that pruning out is pretty good. And it's good for exactly the reason you're saying. It's like these people who I'm like you, dude. I don't have really a side in this fight. I'm not really plan truster. I don't know if you're like that, but you seem to be, again, more independent minded, but like neither plan truster nor black pillar. And, so I don't really know where I stand, but I will say that like, I do have friends who are so completely obsessed with Israel and so completely obsessed with like hating Trump now, suddenly hating Trump, that nothing that you can't take anything they say seriously. Every single time a bit of news comes out about the war, you just know they're going to have the side of this is the worst thing that's ever happened. This is a complete failure of American policy for, the worst failure in centuries, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that is kind of turning out because it's like, dude, you're not really like thinking about reality. Like nobody really knows what's going on that much. Yeah.
Well, right. And it makes it difficult to engage with people because like the situation, like the conflict in Iran, is a good example because there's obviously there's a lot of interests involved. You have American interests. There are Israeli interests involved. There's also other Middle Eastern. The Saudis are very involved in this. Like there's a lot of competing interests. Some of these interests will overlap just as a matter of course, like just organically, and it will not necessarily be like a deep dark conspiracy where it's like, oh, these guys go to an island and they barbecue babies together. That's why they both want this. It's like, no, it's very obviously there are some economic incentives. It doesn't have to be like, anything more than that. You can just see the open reality here. There are like security incentives or economic incentives or, anything like that. And it's fine to like criticize certain things. Like if something is not in your interests, and it's perfectly, reasonable to criticize that. But then if you turn that argument into like, no, this is what it's all about. Like this is the real truth. You end up with that, like, it's like, okay, man, just print that on like a t-shirt, sell it at like Spencer's or Hot Topic or something, because this is dumb. Like this is not the case, And, so it's kind of frustrating to watch something that starts as, maybe like there's a kernel of truth or some degree of valid criticism to a point, but then someone trying to like snowball that into a political belief that's not grounded in, what I consider to be a pretty obvious, reality about a situation. And it's also got to be kind of frustrating, if you are like in the administration, I guess, like one of the things that's been kind of amusing to me to think about is the military aspect of like what's been going on in Iran. At the time of this recording, it's been a very decisive victory for the United States military. Like Iran is basically been greatly reduced. Their influence in the region, I mean, they're basically a joke at this point. Most of their leadership is dead. Big parts of their military have been, destroyed, and we are able to operate over Iran with basically, full freedom of maneuver. And, at this point, if I remember right, the number is like 13 American KIA, which is obviously like a tragedy. But in terms of like historic conflict, like if you had told Alexander the Great that you were going to cripple Persia and it was going to cost you 13 guys, he wouldn't have believed you. He'd been like, wow, that's the greatest victory that you could even like conceive of. And so if you're the admin, like you're delivering something that is like a very decisive win in terms of like, a punitive expedition or just a military operation. And people are all day on the timeline, like Iran is winning, like this is the biggest disaster that we've ever seen. Yeah. And it's like, dude, this is not like, not only is this not grounded in reality, but it's actually it's like the opposite of what's going on. And it must be to some extent confusing for the admin To just be like, yeah, I don't get it. Like we're winning a lot of stuff, and everyone on Twitter is saying that we're eating babies and we're losing the war instead of confronting or admitting what is a pretty obvious reality to me.
How much of that though is sort of a GWAT holdover? Like, isn't it kind of like this is all sort of seen in the like mistakes of the past?
Yeah, there's there's a lot of that amongst like people in like kind of our age cohort, because we grew up in the
Yeah.
GWAT era, 9/11 era, that kind of thing. And so some of the caution about this is warranted. But at a certain point, people condition themselves to helplessness, where like both with Iraq and Afghanistan, the military side of the operation, winning the battles, as the cliche goes, that was never really in doubt. Like the U.S. military pretty decisively was able to dominate Iraq and Afghanistan, and the same thing has happened in Iran at this point, even without a ground invasion. And those wars, like Afghanistan, was a policy failure at like the administrative level, and it's normal. I feel like obviously you have to take away a lesson from that and say like, yeah, we need to not do stuff like that again, where we have these forever wars that don't have any real victory condition. And we just kind of occupy a country and stand around, and there's just like this low grade conflict for the last 10 years of it. And then eventually it culminates in like an embarrassing withdrawal. Like obviously you have to learn a lesson from that. And, the lesson is don't do it. But we have not seen that in Iran. Like it's, and this is what I mean. Like it's okay to not want a war in Iran. Like that's a reasonable thing to say. Yeah, I would prefer that we focus on domestic issues, and I don't know that this is necessarily what we should prioritize right now. Okay, like maybe that's a reasonable criticism, but then it will, people will say, well, and this is just now it's a disaster because it's going to be like Afghanistan, or it's going to be something like that, and we haven't seen that to this point. I'm not saying I mean it's still open ended. This is ongoing.
Do we know? So we obviously think of Afghanistan as a failure because of we spent 20 years there or whatever, and the Taliban is in control. So that's just a loss, right? That's basically just like an obvious loss.
Yeah.
So that was just a waste of time. But Iraq, what happened? We did get rid of Saddam. So why does nobody like talk about what's going on in Iraq today? I know, like obviously ISIS had a presence, and that was bad if ISIS was even real. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Most of this, if you say that like you could criticize, especially through the lens of history. It's very easy to criticize the war in Iraq and say, oh well, they didn't have WMDs and they didn't do 9/11 and all whatever. But the facts at hand are that we did invade Iraq. We defeated their military. We took over their country. We deposed their leader, killed the guy, installed a new system of government, and that system of government is still the one that's in place today.
Is that so? That's true. So whoever we put in there is still in control in Iraq. And who is
the system? Yeah, they have elections, and predictably, much of the country is not sympathetic to the United States. Believe it or not, but when you steamroll people and spend a decade, fighting them in the street, they don't have much fondness for you. But we still, the system of government that was installed is still the one that they use, and we still have a very limited footprint in Iraq. But for years after,
the government? Who runs Iraq?
They have like a parliamentary system. I forget the guy's name, and I probably
is it like the Muslim? Are they super fundamentalist?
It's a divided country. Like it's partially Shia, partially Sunni, and it's like, I don't think that this system of government is going to be in place in 1,000 years from now. But as it stands right now, like after the initial, like the main withdrawal in Iraq, obviously you had ISIS,
Right.
and that was basically defeated. There's always some type of Islamic terrorist group, and they just change names and roll into something new and that kind of deal. But ISIS, nominally was defeated, and so the system of government in Iraq is, we can say, like, yeah, this is a different outcome than what happened in Afghanistan. Like in Afghanistan, we left. And like you said, the Taliban took back over, and they kept a bunch of our shit. And there was a big media spectacle of, us withdrawing while guys are like falling out of airplanes and shit like that. And that was not the outcome in Iraq. And for years, we had a status of forces agreement with Iraq for a long time, where we still exerted a military influence in the region. And people will look at this, if you look at it from like a longer view. It's probably fair to say, and at the risk of sounding conspiratorial, it's entirely possible that after 9/11, our policy was just, hey, we're just going to destabilize the region. Like we're going to spend our time destabilizing the Middle East, and we've done a pretty good job of that. And now Iran, which was obviously, Iran is a much bigger country than Iraq or Afghanistan, and it has a bigger population, it's a bigger landmass, and we are doing a pretty good job of destabilizing that country right now too. And so you could look at this with a cynical lens and just say, well, this is all for naught. This is a waste of time. This is not a good use of blood and treasure and things like that. But I think it's very obvious that there are American interests. Like we are not, for better or for worse, we are an empire at this point, and our Navy's stated purpose is ensuring freedom of navigation of like the seas, and we do have enemies who will attack us regardless of our foreign policy, and so. There is an argument to be made. Like you have to address these concerns, and Iran is a regional power that supports Islamic terror. That part is not really in question. People can argue about whether or not they were about to have a nuclear bomb or something like that. I don't know. I don't have any sentiment about that one way or the other. I think it's pretty clear that they have nuclear ambitions, and I think it is probably pretty clear that we are not served, like it is not in our interest for the Iranians to have nuclear weapons. I'm not saying that they were 30 seconds away from developing them or that type of thing. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. Nonetheless, it's fine to eliminate that capability from them. And if we deny them that capability in something, what are we, like 6 weeks into this? And we've killed half their chain of command and, greatly reduced their military abilities. And, obviously we're postured to come out ahead in this. To me, like you could criticize that and say, well, maybe this wasn't the best time, or maybe we didn't have to do it right now. But to just say that there's no American interest in this is not in touch with reality, and especially dependent on something like, this is part of like an international conspiracy and, things like that. That doesn't quite pass the sniff test to me. Like, I think it's pretty likely that the DOD and the State Department probably have like an overall plan and strategy for this. I don't think they're just flying by the seat of their pants with this.
So where do you put Israel in there? Like what percentage, because again, the black pillar side, that's really, really super important to them, right? The Israel part of it, because that's their explanation. Their explanation is, look, Nick Fuentes told us this was going to happen 3 years ago, and he was right.
Yeah.
So like, where do you put that in the sort of importance level for what's going on?
Yeah, so it's a factor, and I think that denying foreign influence to American politics should be a bigger priority. I obviously Israel has been a factor in this operation, and other countries in the region have also been a factor in this. The order of things is obviously shifting here. Like, we have a lot of tension with NATO. Some of these countries that we have formal security agreements with, like Great Britain or Spain, denying the use of like their airstrips and things like that. That's that is a change in the order of things. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, Israel is a factor in this. I'm not happy that they are a factor in it, and I generally am opposed to Israeli interests in terms of whether they should have any priority or precedence or any special treatment in American politics. I do think that's a huge problem. However, in this case, it's complicated by the fact that there's also a bona fide American interest in reducing Iranian influence, and what that means. These are not guys who are known for their willingness to negotiate. So what that means is basically bombing them just to reduce his capability by force. So it is complicated. That's the thing, is that the guys who are all in on like the Israel side of it, they have a point. Like that is a point, and Israel is a factor in this. But they're not the only factor, and I don't think it's as simple as Netanyahu picks up the phone and says, "Hey Trump, I need you to start a war. Go do this tomorrow." I don't think that's a realistic perspective.
Do my laundry, bitch. Yeah. So, but, if it was just about nukes, why aren't we out already? Wouldn't we be out because we've totally demolished the thing? Why are we still there? If it's really all about nukes, which I don't think it is, why are we still there?
Yeah, I don't think it's just about nukes. I think that's like that's an easy sell, because it is something that
exactly. That's what the impression I get. That's the sale.
Right, because that's the most like visceral. That is the same idea as like, okay, well, the Saddam Hussein guy. He's really mean to his own soccer team. I'm sure you remember that. And so to the American mind, you go, wow, this guy's a dick to like the kid's soccer team. Like, we got to kill this guy. So saying,
well, wasn't it interesting though that actually in this instance, and I know you're like a messaging person, or like you care about that. They didn't do that because they could have had Kamala been in office, right? And this would have probably happened anyway. Clearly, the intelligence agencies were starting color revolution bullshit in Iran anyway, right? They were probably going to do that, Trump or not. Yeah, is what I would imagine. They were probably poised to do that, and they did it. And then Iran, sure enough, did exactly what the CIA wanted, or whoever is in charge wanted, which is kill 20,000 of their like students. They like killed 20,000 of their brave female, students who are in the streets complaining, which is that's like if Kamala was in office, right? That would obviously be the basis for war, because that's of course their basis forever.
Yeah.
Whereas since it's Trump, it's like he was like, I don't want to do the human rights thing. So let's make it about nukes.
Right. Trump can't come out and say, they're killing the girl bosses. We need to send in SEAL Team 6,
Exactly. Whereas had that been Kamala, that's what it would have been, right? It would have been they killed their own people. You can't do that. It's ethnic, they wouldn't have said ethnic cleansing, but they would have said, it's free speech, whatever.
Yeah, and the one of the things it is a good point that the Iranian regime has been at odds with the United States across a number of different administrations, and they would be at odds with the United States if Kamala Harris were the president right now. This is one of those things where you don't have to sensationalize the fact that they are an issue for the United States when everyone who's been the president has had a problem with this person or this country. It's the same idea with like China and the fight over like microprocessors, like both the Trump administration and the Biden administration like the previous Trump administration as well as the current one, uh, had economic tensions with China and have implemented policies or sustained one another's policies, with regards to limiting China's ability to acquire American microprocessing hardware, exert influence over Taiwan, things like that. So this has been a long running, conflict over American interests, and it's been there regardless of who is in office. This is one of those things where it's like, okay, everyone who gets shown the information agrees that, this is a problem and we have to do something, whether it's Kamala Harris, who is going to say, okay, this is whatever, a crime against girl bossery, or Donald Trump, who's going to say that whatever, these guys have nukes, or, whatever he's going to say. Like, there are very obviously some American interests to reducing Iranian influence in the region, just like there are very obviously some American interests in having more independence in terms of microprocessors. Like, these are important things to the well-being of the country and our ability to project influence and economic power and things like that. And so if you're in charge of the country, you do have to, take some course of action on that. You can't say, I let the country get weaker and I let our economic influence wane and I let our military, primacy wane because I didn't want Nick Fuentes to be right because he streamed about this 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, that's not wise politics. Like, that's not actually a good way to govern a country.
Well, but to be fair, and we have to address this, the Trump coalition is obviously fractured now, right? I mean, it's like you look at these poll numbers, not that you should ever fucking listen to poll numbers. I mean, the last poll numbers we heard, it was 100% approval rating, which was also obviously bullshit. But now, we're seeing these polls coming out that are showing, I mean, let's look. They're showing, let's put it on the screen, even though most people listen to this afterwards. Okay, so we were at Trump coalition, February 2025, plus 30%, 6% among white non-college voters, declining. Now it's -4%. Percent among non-white college voters. So, and I've also seen this for young people, say what you will, but there's obviously a massive split in the Trump coalition. And that split is along the lines of basically Plan trusters versus black pillars. I mean, it's hilarious. I'm looking at my Twitter right now, which everybody can see. We have King Pilled over here, who is a guest on this podcast. You probably know him. He's doing a stream right now, said it's over. Trump confirms he's the Antichrist. Which, I don't know if is that a joke? Is that funny?
I think so.
That's probably a joke. But even whether that's real or a joke, that's a good sort of depiction of what I'm seeing. I mean, I'm seeing people who 5 minutes ago were 100% pro-Trump, and now they're, look at Alex Jones. I mean, they're 100%. Trump has now, and look, this was probably inevitable. Trump was always going to become George Bush to some degree, right? I mean, there's no such thing as a president that gets into office and then doesn't disappoint huge amounts of people. No matter what happens, you're going to disappoint a lot of people because a lot of people have these big ideas, et cetera, et cetera. But I will say that simply because of the rising consciousness of hatred of Israel or hatred of, Jews and Israel, whatever, that, I mean, we got to remember Kanye talked about this. This is in the air. This is very much in the air, right?
Yeah, for
sure.
And
Trump was supposed to be a repudiation of this. And so, my personal thought is I'm with you. I don't think that this is, you're right. You're 100% right what you just said, which is very correct, very well said, which is look, just because Nick Fuentes said 3 years ago, this is going to happen doesn't mean that you don't make policy based on that. Right. And probably the U.S. war machine, like any war machine, I think it has to eat, right? It can't not eat. It's like a company. It has to grow. It can't just sit there. You can't just have your however much money we spend on military spending go and just sit there. It doesn't, I don't think it works that way. So it has to fight somebody. And the American empire, as you're saying, it is an empire. It has to try to grow or else it shrinks. So my sense, I actually think personally, this whole thing is about Taiwan. I don't know if I've told you that thesis, but nonetheless, it's undeniable that domestically this has had a really, really bad impact. So
yeah, sure.
How do you get around that?
Yeah, so there's a couple things to address with this. Number one is that Trump's poll numbers. Some of that, of course, is influenced through social media and through podcasting and streamers and things like that, of course. And that's kind of its own problem because a lot of these people are really stupid. And I know that sounds like a rude thing to say, and it is. But a lot of these people are just fucking stupid. Like, if you... And unfortunately, because they're on a screen, that gives them a certain degree of influence with like younger people, especially because you have to remember, like, younger people, a lot of them are not from America, or they are the first one in their family born in America, and their parents are illegals or something like that. So there are, millions of like 85 IQ people who are 18, 17, eating hot Cheetos, watching Sneeko talk to a fake Chinese professor about the dumbest shit that you could think of. And they're just munching these things down going, wow, man, that's fucking deep. Maybe this Trump guy does eat babies, maybe he is the Antichrist. Sure. Like, this is a problem because for every kid that's like that, there's also like a drunk mom who is on SSRIs, who is watching Candace Owens while her toddler is screaming in the background, learning about, wow, I can't believe that the time traveling ghost of Charlie Kirk appeared and said that whatever, like, this was actually a plot. It was, Benjamin Netanyahu flew in and shot Charlie Kirk with an ice bullet, and that's crazy. Well, now she's going to change her polling position too. One of the problems of being in management is that you have to work around how stupid people are, and you have to find a way to address that. And that's a problem.
Well, sure, but
just calling voters stupid is not. You can't do that as a politician. Obviously, you can't come out.
Well, again, this is why. Again, we just covered that the Kamalas of the world, they've been running. The successful way to convince the stupid people, particularly the women, for a very long time, has been the same story, which is basically what we refer to as the post-war order, right? And that's human rights. Civil rights, human rights, and everything we do. People forget we bombed Europe in the 90s. We literally bombed Europe. We bombed Serbia, and that was all because of supposedly ethnic cleansing. And if you look at all the bad guys, I was just learning about Idi Amin and how he, the Mamdani race of people were ethnically cleansed from Uganda by Idi Amin. And so Idi Amin becomes number one bad guy, right? Because the people who the West, or the American empire, global American empire, thinks of as bad are blood and soil people, right?
Yeah.
Unless, of course, for whatever reason, the South Africans get a pass on this. I don't know why. Yeah, I guess it's like if you're ethnically cleansing white people, it's okay. I don't really understand.
Of course.
Yeah, then that's fine. So so I guess the Zaire people who cleansed what was Zimbabwe? I guess the Zimbabwe people and the South Africans get a pass because they're black and they can do whatever they want. But if you cleanse anyone else, like the Jews or the Israel, because the Idi Amin cleansed the Israelis first and then he cleansed the Indians. And that's what like Mamdani's family is. That's they were that like ethnically cleansed group, and they went to UK or whatever. Long story short, the stupid people were convinced for the past 80 years based on, Spielberg grade human rights fears, othering. And that was an extremely successful narrative for a very long time to convince dumb people to do stuff. Even dumb, smart people like, Christians, for example, are very easily convinced by this messaging. But it seems like we've reached the end of that, right? And now, since we're reaching the end of that, unfortunately for the Jews, it's like all the stuff they did to convince those dumb people, right, over here, now it's points against these dumb people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like,
right.
You know what I mean? It's like you unfortunately they got over their skis. And now, sorry.
Yeah. So like a problem that the administration is facing, like, okay, so we've established that a lot of people are just stupid, and that they want to be entertained and they want to believe things that are not grounded in reality, right? And that is the same. That's the same thing as like the libtard, like woke shit about human rights and, like you said, in a post-war order. That's the same phenomenon. It's dressed up differently, but
right.
In its mechanisms, it's the same thing. So the problem that the administration is facing is that if you abandon delivering like fake results, right? Like if you so like if you're a Democrat, if you're a progressive liberal and you're running on things that are not real, like if you're a good example is like the trans genocide, right? You'll see leftist politicians like, well, we got to stop the people, these trans women and getting genocided. And if you look into it, it's like you mean like 17 people in in a year? Like, I don't know if I would call that a genocide, but nonetheless, that's a huge talking point. Or like no kings, right? Where it's like, oh, we're doing this no kings thing. It's like, well, we don't have a king. Donald Trump, if anything, has been too loyal and too deferential to the judiciary. Like this is just simply not grounded in reality. But it lets people, enjoy this like fantasy realm where they're like fighting against an injustice, which is the same thing as saying, Saddam was mean to the kids' soccer team or, whatever. If you're not going to deliver on fake results, you have to deliver on real results, which is a lot harder. And what that means for people in America is like, can I buy a house? Mm-hmm. Like, can I start a family? Is my job going to an Indian guy? Is my gas $4 a gallon? Like, can somebody stop stealing all my fucking packages from Amazon? You know what I mean? Like, these are actual problems. These are like genuine, some are just small nagging quality of life issues, but some are like actual questions of like birthright and economic mobility and things like this. You do have to deliver on that or your polling numbers are going to slip, right? Like if you can't buy a house, and you don't feel confident starting a family and you don't feel like you're going to get fair treatment from your local police department or from like the judiciary, if you or someone is like murdered, right? If you're not going to get a mistrial where they're like, well, technically the guy that stabbed your grandma in the face with a pickaxe 38 times is too retarded, so we're going to send him to med school instead of prison. Well, you've got a real problem there. So the administration does have to deliver on that, and there have been a lot of wins. Since Trump took office, there have been a lot.
Like
of
what?
wins.
Like what are some? I think there have been. I'm not challenging, but just so we know, like what are some?
A lot of the like wins in the judiciary relative to immigration, right? Because at first you had these federal judges where it's like, no, man, you can't deport somebody. Like, what are you kidding me? Like, that's not allowed. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of cases, this has gone through like appellate levels and, higher courts have said, yeah, like of course we can deport people. Like you can't actually just be like an open activist. Like violent criminals who are from Ecuador can actually just go away. And so there have been wins there, but this is frustrating to voters because it's not instant, it's not guaranteed, and it's kind of boring, right? It's nowhere near as exciting.
Well, he's gonna lose the birthright thing, though. I'm
Yeah, the
sorry to
birthright thing
say.
is I mean, he's swinging for the fences, but that's I mean, I agree with you. I don't think that that's going to go the way that it should.
Yeah,
But
which is
other
insane, by the way. But I mean, but
yeah, right.
I think the way he argued it was wrong. He didn't couch the argument correctly. I don't know, that could have been entirely because he wasn't able to. I did a episode with Yuri Bezmenov on this, if anyone wants to listen to it. But I mean, like, okay, but so we got to have more than just like a few things in the judiciary, right? I mean, there's other wins you can get here. Right? It's right. I mean, it's not just like,
sure, right. So,
like,
the southern border, like for instance, during the first administration, that did not happen. There was no like wall. There was, well, this time is, just call the military, close the border, whatever. If people don't like it, fuck them. Well, that was done basically right out of the gate. So things like that, where, you in the earlier days of the administration, you could open Twitter and see like hype reels of guys being put in chains, loaded onto C-130s and flown out of the country. Like that is, you are delivering on that. But the problem with it, of course, is that there's like 100 million people here who shouldn't be here. And at no point in American history have we had to have a paramilitary federal law enforcement agency that can round up 100 million people and remove them from our soil. So this is not something that we have built in, right? The big, beautiful bill is a win. So even when like you have like a government shutdown, ICE is still able to operate because that's codified into law. Like that can't just be stripped away as a continuing resolution, shutdown. So like that's a win. There have been wins. There has not been, as many as someone might like to see, of course. But this is what I mean by like you have to kind of engage with reality. It's not popular to tell fat people that they should eat vegetables, right? That like if you polled a bunch of fat people and you said, hey, how would you feel about the president telling you that you need to fucking eat some vegetables? It would be like, wow, the polling numbers are way down on this. This is kind of that situation where it's like, yeah, this is going to take some time. We're working on this.
But we're not going to have the time because we're not going to stay, right? I mean, we don't get to stay in office. And what really sucks is like, I think that had we not gone to war with Iran, I mean, unless we get out soon, which, maybe, but, and look, it is true that now pretty much Israel and all of that shit is in the bag for the Republicans, right? For a long time. They can't go for the Dems now. So that's maybe good, but there's no way in hell we win anything in November if we're still in Iran, right? I mean, it's going to be total destruction.
Maybe. I mean, if you look at like the poll that you showed, it's like, okay, well now approval is hovering at 50%. That's not catastrophic. That's down, but it's not catastrophic. It's also very typical, for the House of Representatives to change hands midterm. That's not ahistoric. That's how things,
Well, but I don't even mean just then. I mean, like, okay, so fine. Maybe we'll be out of Iran by the time the presidential thing comes along. But the way things are going right now, I mean, I think it's like very obvious that this was perfect. This was exactly what the left needed. The left needed some huge fracturing force that was going to tip it just enough. Like they still have every single woman in the country, every single white affluent woman in the bag. And that hasn't changed. And I mean, it's like, I don't know. I don't see how he can possibly pull anything off like JB unless there's some total victory and we get out and you're right. It's only 19 people and we get out now. I would say if we're still there, I don't see how the hell JD stands a chance at all. I mean,
Well,
it's like,
yeah. So a couple things on that. I do think this conflict will probably wrap up relatively quickly. Like, you have to remember the people who are saying like, they post a picture of like flight radar and it's cargo planes. And they're like, oh, something big's going down tonight, man. We're just moving like a brigade from the 82nd to the Middle East, and there's a Marine Expeditionary Unit there. We don't have the ground buildup to do anything in Iran right now. Like we had hundreds of thousands of troops staged, before the invasion of Iraq. Putting like a brigade combat team of the 82nd in the Middle East and putting like a Marine Expeditionary Unit, on like the Tripoli or something, in the region, that's not enough guys to do anything big. Like, it's just not. So fundamentally, like I don't, we may still have some activity there for like an intermediate term, but there's just no evidence that there's going to be like a large ground operation. Like, obviously what we've been doing has been effective, which is basically just aerial bombardment. And it makes sense to have some troops in the area just as an option. But there's not like a ground invasion force there. There's nothing close to it. So I don't think.
Well, what about the blockade? What do you think of the blockade?
I think that's smart. I think it's a good move. Everyone, like the Strait of Hormuz, we don't like, obviously oil is like a global thing, but we don't use it for anything. Like, it's not like we were getting like oil from Iran before this or something.
Right.
So it kind of got assigned as like a win condition, mainly because Americans don't like being told we can't do something. So if someone says like, hey, I'm going to close off this little waterway, fuck you guys, we look at it and go, no, that's not how it works. Like, we're America. We have to open that up.
I mean, it's not a little waterway. China gets 50% of its oil.
It's little to us, though.
Pretty big deal. No, but I mean, my personal thing is, I think that this whole thing has been about the Strait of Hormuz. Personally, I think it's that Taiwan. It's all about microchips. It's Taiwan does all the microchips. China will take it eventually. If China takes it, they control 100% of the AI microchips on Earth.
Yeah.
We're trying to build them in Arizona, but we have a deal with TSMC and the Dutch people who make the machines. I forget what they're called. Basically to build a factory here so we can make them here. But we have to be 2 generations behind the Taiwanese. In order to get the Taiwanese to build it here. So what that means is the Taiwanese control all of them. We don't make any of them here. Intel can't make them. Nobody can make these in America. And so pretty much this is, and I think this really is the reason for this. I think that Trump was like, okay, we got, the military has to eat. We got to do something. And we have to control the Strait of Hormuz because, and if we have a hostile regime controlling the Strait of Hormuz, which just means not bombing it, but if we have a favorable regime in there, that means we have China by the balls. We have 50% of their energy by the balls, right? So that's what I think is the real reason for this, to be perfectly honest. Sorry.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you're necessarily wrong. Like, obviously, China is a much larger problem for the United States than Iran. And so, like what you see with this, I don't think it would necessarily cost midterms. If there are other things can improve, like obviously the gas prices, that's a factor. Like, that's one of those things in American politics where it's like, yeah, if gas prices are high, people just think you're doing a bad job. There's just no way around it. Obviously Donald Trump doesn't make gas prices, but he did start a war in Iran, and now the gas prices are higher. So
yeah, this is my mother. It's super liberal. She's texting me. my costs have gone. It's a Trump is causing my
Right,
costs. I was
right.
like, when is the last time you cared about your cost? Like, you have never cared about this.
Right.
Now
But
suddenly this is like a big deal.
yeah, but unfortunately, it's a viable talking point. Like you remember
Yeah.
how frantic the libs were. You remember those like I did that Joe Biden stickers that
Yes,
people were
I
putting.
do. I put some of those up. I was
Yeah,
so
people
angry.
were frantically ripping those
Yeah.
down. Like you could see libs at gas stations like scraping them off with their car keys. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
It is a bad political position to be in, to be the guy that raises gas prices like that. Uh, and so like explaining to people like, hey man, I know that you can't buy a house and your fucking life sucks, and this beater ass car that you drive because you can't find used cars anymore because of Barack Obama. I understand that if you want like a mid level SUV, it's $50,000 now.
Right.
But hey man, it's really important that we do this thing. Well, yeah, you've got to figure that out. Like the administration does have to figure that out.
Well, but one doesn't cause the other, right? And the thing the regime does so well, both sides, right? The thing that the right side and the left side do in America so incredibly well that they actually in Europe it's not the same, which is actually partially why Europe sucks. But this temporary embarrassed millionaires thing is really deeply ingrained. Like Americans really are, when shit is declining and declining and declining, there's a certain American thing that prevents us from really blaming anybody for it too much. And I think that both the left and the right are incredibly good at messaging around the fact that nobody can buy a house anymore, right? It's like they're very, very good at boiling the lobster. And so I don't think that it's like there's very few people that vote are smart enough to understand who is doing that to them. And they vote on that criteria. I mean, like this is everybody always says this about gas prices, but it's like, I don't know if that's really true because it's like, all you're going to do with your gas prices thing is vote harder for whichever thing you already believe, right? Like all you're going to do is, it's like my mom calling me about gas prices. Did she ever care about gas prices during Biden? Of course she didn't. It didn't make any difference to her. Now she gets to blame that on Trump, right? And that's why it's like, I think the sides revolve because it's like, you get to kind of like vote harder depending on who's ever in power. You get to like blame them for stuff. But
I think it reduces enthusiasm, which reduces turnout, especially for a midterm election, right? Like people who
sure.
You know what I mean? Like in the context of a midterm,
right?
That's usually lower turnout anyway. And so if you have people during the presidential election, it's like, look, man, you got to go out and vote for Donald Trump, bro. Like, Joe Rogan is telling you to do this. Theo Vaughn is telling you to do this. Everybody is saying like, look, dude, it's fucking over if you don't go vote for Donald Trump. And so, that's what happened. And come midterms, if it's like, yeah, you voted for Trump and now we've got war in Iran, your gas is expensive. Hey man, do you want to like play Xbox or do you want to go to the polling center? To vote for like your district rep. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, you're right. It impacts the other side. It's like it impacts the turnout on the other side. Yeah.
So I do think that the operation in Iran, like there are American interests being served here. To your point, like obviously that China is a factor on this, and this operation in Venezuela obviously was not an unrelated thing. I mean, it's very obvious that like energy is a factor, right? In these policies from like the State Department and the War Department. So, I think there are American interests being served, but you can't do it forever and expect people to come out and vote for you. You have to give people what they voted for. You do have to kind of eat your own vegetables and deliver some wins that are high profile.
You gotta deliver something. It's right. And I think that's the Trump admin has not been good at, I mean, there was a couple other things they did, right? There was little, I mean, there was a Yarvin tweet not long ago, just before Iran, which was kind of perfect timing because I was saying the literal exact same thing just before Iran, which was, we need like wins. You know, we need like little Rubicons crossed here and there to show that like Trump really is what he was saying he is, you know, on behalf of the American people. And there were a few of them, you know, there were like a couple little things that happened. I mean, I think him sending ICE to deal with the TSA, like that shit's really good.
Yeah.
There was a few other little things like that I can't remember right now, which is not good that I can't remember them. But he seemed like they were kind of like, okay, we're getting it. We're knowing how to play this game. Like we're knowing how to like get little wins here and there. I mean, of course, the USAID thing, I still think was the best thing we did. Mm-hmm. But now all of that is subsumed entirely by Iran. Now that is nobody's thinking about this anymore. I mean, maybe that could be good. I mean, like maybe he can use that distraction to get some more of these policies across the line. I mean, maybe that's what he's doing, but I just haven't seen any of these little, you know, what the things that he should have done were like, I cannot believe he didn't like execute somebody for trying to kill Charlie Kirk more, you know, like killing Charlie Kirk and trying to kill him. I can't believe he didn't like do public arrests of Antifa people. It seemed like they were going to do that. Remember, they designated Antifa as a terrorist source, which was bullshit because that's not even a real designation unless it's international. So it seemed like they were kind of going down that path. And then Trump got distracted. I think what Trump realized, honestly, is, I can't really do anything domestically, but I can do a lot of shit for you know, like I can get a lot done for
yeah, of course. You know? No, that is a big factor. And you know, in terms of delivering wins, I do think you know, who knows, like maybe we'll get like a stimulus. Maybe he'll just say, hey, we're doing like an oil stimulus, right? Like I'm gonna send everybody $1,000 because God, something like that.
They'll roll that out in 4 years, right? Or in 3 years.
Yeah, you know, I mean, give people free money, something like that. That stuff always works to get votes. I mean, it's obviously not a good policy to just give out infinite free money. Right. You know, but like the Antifa thing is a good example. I think we will see that ramp up. I think that the focus on that being part of like an international thing will ramp up. I think that's important to see because there do need to be some wins that come out of that. Like you can't have major American cities that are completely captured by just Bolsheviks, where it's like, yeah, it's actually illegal to remove this heroin addict from shitting on the sidewalk in front of your apartment.
Well,
like
they did kill a couple of protesters. Not that, you know, not that I'm pro such violence, but that seems like that was a little bit of a message. Like, hey, this comes with actual stakes. I mean, it's insane to me that if you're going to go out and say that you want to tear down your government in the streets and you're taking violent action to do that, there has to be some threat of consequences for that. You know?
And I think easing off of that as a public display probably was a mistake. Like, you know, the Border Patrol guy, you know, Bovino kind of got quietly pushed into retirement. And, you know, I think it's fine. I don't like seeing like Americans get gunned up by ICE. However, these people are out of control. Like if the idea that it's somehow like a reasonable, just like peaceful protest to ram your SUV into a fucking ongoing police operation, and then just play like the "I'm not touching you" card, that's ridiculous to think that you could do that without facing some type of immediate consequence. You know, it's the same thing with the guy that they shot, you know, who was just going out to protest with a gun and like kicking out the taillights of SUVs, you know, full of ICE agents. It's like, yeah, man, that's not like, you can't do that. Like, it's obviously not in line with like the First Amendment. That has nothing to do with this. If you want to play the game of like, yeah, I am a violent protester. I want to destroy the government. I have a gun. You can play that card, like that's fine, but you're gonna get gunned down by like a guy named like Gutierrez who works for ICE for some reason. So you know, I think that was okay. Like people get squeamish about it. Like nobody uh nobody likes to hear the word no, and that's what that represents like to the to the left. Like that's what really triggers these people into just losing their mind is the idea that like somewhere a man said no to this. Like no, you can't
Mhm.
have that. You're being childish. That's silly. We're not doing that. That is what they hate more than anything, and I think that's what those shootings represented, which is why I think they should have kept their foot on the gas with that.
Yeah, I
uh
agree. And
because
it's like Trump, he's afraid to, it's like he's always been a little bit seemingly kind of scared to do that too much.
well, he's a deal
And
maker. He likes to make
yeah,
deals. Donald Trump likes to be liked. You know what I
yeah, that's
mean?
true. That's
And
true. Yeah.
that's okay. Like that has its place, and it is important, obviously, for a politician to be liked. That is how you win elections. Uh, so I think it's more of a pro than a con, but in certain cases, you need a guy who has a buzz cut and is willing to just say like, no, we're not doing this. Like I'm gonna shoot you because you can stand over there and watch this happen and wave your sign, and that's fine. But
Mhm.
if you show up with a gun and you start bashing in the taillights of my SUV, like I'm going to try and arrest you. And if you have a gun, there's a very real chance you're going to get shot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. All right. So just returning to the larger conversation, um, what do you think the left is going to do right now? Where are they headed? We have this thing in California with Tom Steyer is now going to be the governor, which is hilarious. Newsom is probably going to be the candidate. So, they just took out this guy Swalwell in such odd fashion. The left is really weird right now. Because they also took out Cesar Chavez in like instance. This is something I really wish I had like a insider to tell me how it works,
Yeah.
because I don't know if you saw what happened to Cesar Chavez, but it went from like zero to like ripping down Cesar Chavez statues because he was banging underage girls.
Yeah.
And then Swalwell, it was the same thing. It was like just the one thing, then closed ranks.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
just total immediate destruction
Yeah.
that the left seems to do. And they're so organized. So but they're also so unpopular. So where do you see them going?
Yeah, I don't really have like a frame of mind for left-wing politics, like other than just knowing that it's bad and that these people are evil. So, it seems like they probably have some runway for things like conditional amnesty, the economy, like let's just be nice. Those types of policies where like Mamdani did a really good campaign. Like his campaign was really great.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in like I'm a fan of the guy, but he ran a tight campaign. Like his ads were upbeat. Everybody is smiling. It's happy music. Everything's bright, colorful. Talking about we're gonna make it so you can afford your rent. I want to be the mayor of New York because I like you. I care about you, and your ability to have a good time here. And he really didn't get into much of the super woke, like we're gonna put women in men's locker rooms kind of talk. It was very much like, hey, look at me, I'm a normal guy. And most of the very far left messaging was unspoken, right? Like him going on camera and just eating with his hands. Like that's a very clear like cultural indicator that like, hey, I am a third world guy. Like if you are not from here, you should vote for me because I eat shit with my hands. Like
I shit on the street just like you.
right. I'm just a regular guy, you know.
Just a normal street shitter, you know. I totally get it.
Right. You know, so, yeah. You know, I steal my food one canned good at a time. Just like you, man, you know. So that was a really
bodegas. They go to one. They get one shotted by a bodega. They go to one bodega. It's like, oh my god, this is the best place in the world.
Right. You know, yeah, I love it when there's you know indoor animals on my deli meat too. So you know it's great. So, you know, so like his campaign was really effective. I think this is probably the time for that because Trump obviously, like where he won with a lot of the right, and where Trump has always done well is being like kind of you know, given what he posted last night, this is not, I don't mean this as a pun, but like a savior of like the chud class, right? It's like, hey, if you're like a working class white guy, like I care about you and I care about the things that you care about and you should vote for me. And that's been very effective in terms of messaging, right? And Mondami ran the same type of campaign just for leftists, right? Donald Trump will do stuff like, hey, I stopped my motorcade to shake hands with firefighters, or I'm going to a UFC fight or something like that.
Or the McDonald's.
Right, I'm going to McDonald's, you know. That's his version of going to a bodega,
right?
Or going to, I don't know, like an AIDS march or something like that. So I think the left, that seems to be like, it's easy to do that. It's hard to criticize. Like it is tough to say like, wow, this Mamdani guy, he's just a little bit too cheerful. That's not, you know, it's not like a great political critique, and he's not really giving you any surface area to attack. You can't nail that down. That's not like a black and white policy. And that's another thing that Trump has always been effective at is, you know, how he talks. He's just like, oh, this is the greatest. We're going to the most beautiful place. Everybody loved it. None of that is finite. He's not giving you figures or facts. It was the same with Mamdani. He's not saying, hey, I'm going to do a 2.5% year over year compounding reduction of the, like that shit's boring. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
So I think they have to lean into that. And I think they've got some ground to make up with like abortion, women, stuff like that, where it's like, you know, hey, I'm running for the governor of California. And if your boss asks you to suck his dick in the car under my thing, you could say no. You know, if you want to, and if you don't want to, that's fine too. You know, vote for me. It's going to be shit like that.
No, it's not that you can say no. It's that you can say yes and then get paid for it later on. That's
right.
It actually is.
You know, so
you can suck your boss's dick and then make him, when he doesn't call you back later on, you can torture him and destroy his life. Yeah.
So that's where they have it.
Right. I don't know though, man. It's so weird because it's like they're going to run Newsom. That's pretty obvious. They have nobody else, right? I mean, it's got to be Newsom. I don't know who else it would be, unless something.
I would be very surprised with like Harris or something.
Yeah, I don't think it could be Harris. And they, you know, all his laundry, his dirty laundry's out there. You know, he banged his best friend's and campaign manager's wife. That's pretty much all they got. And, you know, he has all his stupid mistakes, but he's already kind of like cleansed those, you know, like there's no big revelation like the Swalwell thing that's sort of bubbling beneath the surface. And so it's like, I don't think they have anybody else. So they're going to run him and his annoying ass wife, who's super hot. And I don't know, you know, you have to imagine that a lot of people will stay home for him though, right? Like a lot of people are not going to, a lot of leftists are not going to get out there and vote for Newsom. You have to imagine.
I don't know. I mean, maybe, you know, I think, you know, maybe it depends. It's kind of, you know, I mean, Newsom he's like a tall, handsome guy. He's a good speaker. And if he goes out and says, hey, man, you need to go out and vote for me because I'm going to give you free money. If you don't vote for me, you know, J.D. Vance is going to deport your grandmother. If you do vote for me, I'm going to increase like your EBT card. You know, I mean, that gets people to the polls, you know.
Right. And he's going to have like the Zorans and everything like on his side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be rough, man. I mean, it does seem like the Dems should have destroyed themselves long ago, but there's just like a little, it's this, it's this communism is just such a powerful natural force in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The difference, like what we're seeing, I think with, obviously like the fracture and the online right and things like that right now, is that I can't think of the last time the right wing in America has had to actually build like a coalition or maintain a coalition. I don't think it's something that we're used to doing, right? It's not comfortable. It doesn't come naturally. I think the left kind of has an understanding where, any given day of the week, the black guy might not get along with the Chinese guy, might not get along with the gay guy, might not get along with the trans guy, might not get along with the migrant guy every day except for the day that they go vote, because for them, that's how they survive. Like leftist politics is all just like, I got to go vote for my money. This is the same thing as going to the DMV
or my
to like
AIDS
renew
medication. Yeah.
Right. I got to go renew my tag. That's the same thing that they have to do for voting. Yeah. It's like, look, man, all we're asking you to do one day about every 4 years, you got to go do this thing, or else you're not going to have free healthcare, a free phone, a free house, and free food. That's literally like, that's what's in it for the left. You know what I mean? Like the incentive structure is very different for the average leftist voter, because they vote for a living. And like our guys do not. Like most of the people on our side are not reliant on like government handouts to subsist.
Yeah. And I mean, on the other side, I think that actually most everyday human beings are not really leftists. Like I think that leftism is actually a rare condition. It's a little, not rare, but it's like, it's actually a lot like anti-Semitism. They're very similar. And it's like, it's something that's like a disease. It's like a mental disease. But the amount of people that are actually leftist is pretty small. I mean, it's like 10, maybe 20, 30% of people. But you're right that everybody else in between, it's just like kind of a practical matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's why you see this cope about like, third world migrants who are Catholic, they're natural conservatives. You should love these guys. And it's like, yeah, they're conservative everywhere except for the ballot box. Like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, they go to church. They
exactly.
nominally follow like a set of Western values in terms of like their traditions there. So like that's better than, like Muslims or something. However, like they're going to go vote for free money too, because that's the only thing they do. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like they're not Bolsheviks, right? Like I don't think that the average like Guatemalan like day laborer who's bringing his family here is like a Trotskyite or something. But he's going to go vote for free money. So I don't know. I don't want to underestimate their ability for that, because the left does understand, and the people who are leftists understand that you have to maintain that coalition. Whereas on the right, I think I lost you.
Yo, hello.
Yeah, I'm good. I think you dropped.
Sorry,
out there for a second.
I don't know what the hell just happened. Yeah, totally.
On the right, we don't have that. Like, voting based off of what like Candace Owens tells you, probably doesn't affect your household income. You know what I mean? Like that's just not a thing. And so there is no like, undercurrent where everyone is kind of in on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which you do have with leftism, and the right needs to figure out a way to do that. Where it's like, look, man, if you
we need a positive vision, which is what I've been saying forever. I mean, I think the reactive vision was great and it worked. It obviously worked really well. But it's the sticky issues, I think the right has a real hard time accepting that it's the sticky issues. It's shit like trans. That's the shit that people care about. They don't care about larger ideas, really,
Well,
yeah. I actually got to go. Sorry, I have a meeting that's starting right now. So I got to jump off here. But, dude, thank you so much. Where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter, shortmagsmle. So yeah, thanks for having me back on, man.
Of course, man. Anytime. Love your feed. You're like, yeah, I feel like there's like a new group of us that's sort of just like coalescing that are like the non-paid shills of the dissident right. So I appreciate your content. And yeah, it's always very funny. So great chatting with you. I'll talk to you later.
Take care.
Peace.